of people who do end up hiring somebody to work with are also hoping that they're not providing lip service and that some of the reviews are real, maybe some of the reasons that their search rankings are so high are real. I mean, it's so easy to manipulate sometimes the credibility of a company, or it's easy for the company to, I suppose, manipulate their own credibility. Jared Mirsky joins us, the owner and founder of Mirsky Media, a top web design and development, SEO, and graphic design company. Hey, Jared, how are you? Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
So tell me a little bit about, as we were talking about just a minute ago with Beyonce and the lip service, lip syncing, and the ability for companies to, I would say, provide lip service online for what maybe their company is really capable of doing. Maybe it's on reviews, maybe it's on testimonials. It seems like there's a lot of ways to lie online about how great your company or your service is.
Not to say that I've actually tried to ever lie about my own business online. However,
that wasn't what I was implying.
No, I know,
okay.
I get that. No. But it is interesting to try and figure out how it actually works, how to beat the system, if you will. Mm-hmm. Because, there are companies like myself that service other businesses in the sense that we offer reputation management as a service. And the thing about, writing a review and then putting it on your own personal website, that's about as lip service as it gets. I mean, you never know where that came from or how it originated. However, with the type of mathematical algorithms that Google, Places, and Yelp have in order to filter out those real or legitimate reviews versus the fake ones, it's pretty complex. So nowadays, it's really hard to actually beat their little system they've got going on. In fact, sometimes you'll get real good reviews and they won't even stick because that particular Yelp account user doesn't have, like I said before, a profile picture or any information about them or their business. They've never written a review for another company before. So, those are some of the ways that, you can get around, what am I trying to say? Get around your profile being
sounds
stuck
like what
in the
you're saying.
filter.
I mean, you get into these point where are people going to find out about your company? The first place they're going to go is online. Mm-hmm. And if they go online, you're going to, in my mind, and you can totally correct me if I'm off base here, but when you're online, you're going to get essentially three types of sites, right? You're going to get their website, which they most likely control. They can put whatever they want on it. They can make it pretty. They can make it ugly. They can literally do whatever they want. It's their website. And then you end up with like a social media type site, which is going to have more to do with maybe more interaction with people. Are they keeping up on current events? Do people interact with them? Is there positive reviews or is there positive, I don't know, stuff going on like a social media site? And then you have more of these review sites, which is more of a third-party testimonials and things of that nature. Is that a fair way to put it?
I couldn't agree with you more.
All right, deal.
Yeah.
Sold.
You just bought a house.
So how do you manage all of those, and how do you make sure as a customer or a potential customer that those reviews, that website, are not just lip service, or I guess you could call it screen service at this point in time, but are true representations of that company?
Well, with me, for example, I don't even put my testimonials on my website. I actually just offer a link from my website to my Yelp account. I mean, that's the only way to, I think, do it in order to get that credibility that you deserve. Mm-hmm. What's great, though, you kind of mentioned social media, and I was going to talk about that. With over, 1 billion users on Facebook today and growing, and not so much growing sometimes, but, with social media, you can really take charge of, the conversation around your brand. And that's what's important with social media, and I think that a lot of businesses fail to realize how valuable that is. Social media is essentially, I guess I could give you the example of you want to go to a dentist, and you go on Google and you type in dentist office in Seattle, and you're going to get hundreds of different options to choose from. However, how do you know which one's the best? So what people do now is they'll maybe look up a dentist on Facebook or see what dentists their friends on Facebook use. It's a really good reference. It's a really good referral, and it's good for the business. So that's why social media is becoming more and more important over the years.
And so what I hear you saying is that you could actually go look at a dentist or any other company's Beacon Plumbing's page. You could go look at my website, and you're going to see real people who like their stuff versus all the, you can of course buy 1,000 fans if you want, but you can actually find real people who like their stuff, and that in some ways becomes a testimonial. Granted, all they did is click like.
That's exactly right.
And I suppose you could do the same thing on LinkedIn in order to try to see, okay, are these guys lip service or are they really giving me something real?
Yeah, because I believe, I'm not I use LinkedIn every so often, but when people endorse you, they personalize what they have to say in regards to your profession or the services that you've offered them in the past. And so, any real referral you can get is going to be gold to your business.
So, okay, the referral part is a huge part. It's a big part of all of our business. But a lot of people are also spend a lot of time, effort, money into trying to get their business found online. There's tons of companies. Google's basically built on it. I think it's one of their only profitable divisions. What are some ways that people can get their business found on search engines like Google?
Well, the commonly used term is called search engine optimization. There's a multitude of techniques that are involved when creating good SEO on a website. There's naming images and with proper keywords, and there's meta tags, and there's backlinking, and there's building content in your website. They say content is king, and so I guess if I were to offer anybody out there advice on how they can kind of increase the search engine optimization on their own, I would say make sure your website has a blog. Go on there, 3 or 4 times a week and write something with relevant information in respect to your business. And, I guess the final tip would be, find other websites, blogs, forums that talk about similar interests and, again, respect to your business and write a comment, and then have a link in that comment going back to your website. So you'll start to create some backlinks as well.
Mm-hmm. Is it, I think that SEO becomes this beast that is, you're always kind of behind the 8 ball because it progresses so quickly. Mm-hmm. When people try to get into this themselves, which is probably the exact opposite of what I'd recommend anybody try to do, because, well, it's kind of what our show's about. But, to start trying to do these things on your own, aren't you kind of chasing an animal if you're not, you're unequipped to chase down this animal that is called like it's SEO? Because yes, there's a few things you can do, but inevitably there's somebody else in your industry who is probably doing a lot more.
The crazy thing about SEO is any company that ever says they'll guarantee you results is full of it. Mm-hmm. You can't guarantee the results in SEO because you don't know what your competition's doing. Mm-hmm. With that said, there are so many new SEO techniques coming out that it makes it really hard to keep up for people who aren't really in the know. For example, Google ranks websites higher now based on how fast their page loads are. So if you're with a hosting company that you're sharing a server with hundreds or thousands of people, your website's going to load a bit slower than as if you had your own server, for example. So the faster your website loads, the higher you'll rank. That's just one piece of the pie. But
now everybody's going to go switching over all their servers.
Right. I do hosting, just so you guys know.
So, Jared, we just have about a minute left before we go to break. But you talk about I guess there's the design of the hosting, there's the images, there's the right content. There's a plethora of things that really have to be done well in order to really have a well-designed website that goes beyond just looking pretty.
Well, Craigslist is successful because it's functional. People know it. People know how to navigate through it, regardless of how much content there is. There's absolutely no design to it whatsoever. So with that said, you always want to choose functionality over design. Now, design is also extremely important because it's what engages your client or potential customer to navigate furthermore through the site, assuming that the item or product or service they want is the reason why they landed on the website. But before I finish, it's definitely important to hire somebody to do your website rather than do it yourself. There are so many elements involved that it's almost pointless for you to spend 3 or 4 hours putting together this rinky-dink online brochure if nobody's going to see it.
Yeah.
So
no, and we've talked about it here before, but it's really becomes your storefront. So if it doesn't look good, and whether it has testimonials or Yelp reviews or anything else, if it doesn't look good, people are probably going to have a pretty quick perception of your business being equal to that of the design of your website.
Well, you could be a multimillionaire and you could be wearing bum clothes, and I would have no idea who you were.
That's how I rule, man.
But every business wants that instant edification. That's what separates them from the rest, regardless of how big or small they are.
Jared, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We do have to go to break. When we come back, this guest, Steve Araki from Beacon Plumbing, actually, we got a whole bunch of responses on how to make sure that your drainage in the garbage disposal of your sink continues to work. We're going to talk a little bit about that because, hey, I know a lot of people who unclogged their garbage disposal after this guy joined us last time. We'll be right back after this break.